topic of deployment automation. And here, automation is really the key for really tackling these challenges nowadays. And what we've seen is that Ansible is a quite good tool for automating. So with Ansible, you can automate the provisioning, the configuration management, application deployment. You can automate a lot of different things with a little set of instructions they call a playbook. So in a playbook, you write some YAML code. It's kind of human readable. It's a little bit of documentation and the program combined. So it's really easy to understand what's going on in this kind of playbooks. And as it's written here, the tasks defined in this playbook, they are executed in an order, and it can scale pretty well. So what you can do is to just execute or to write the playbook and then execute these playbooks on hundreds of hosts in parallel. Ansible doesn't rely on agents, on the hosts where you are executing the tasks, but instead via SSH, it's connecting to this host and then executing the statements there. And on top of Ansible, there is another tool called Ansible Tower, and this is really the management platform for Ansible. So you have a couple of APIs. Basically, it's really a rich APIs where you can do a lot of the management on top of your playbooks. You have user management, you have rule-based access control, you have inventories, you have really a broad possibilities to manage your playbooks.
Cool.
And then Ansible also has this concept of roles. And for Dynatrace, we have a great role where you can roll out the Dynatrace One agent. And this role is available in the Ansible Galaxy. So this is kind of a store for Ansible roles. It's not a store that you have to pay for it, but you just go there and you can get details on all the different roles they are out there, and then you can just install them and you can use them in your Ansible playbooks. So it's really easy to use them. And actually, I have a small example here for a playbook. So if you want to, for example, roll out the Dynatrace One agent with Ansible playbook, then you just define on which hosts you want to roll out the One agent. Here, we just call this group of hosts, we call them web servers. So they can be like 5 or maybe 100 web servers, but they are all defined in the same group. And we have just one task here, which includes a role, which is called Dynatrace One Agent. And this needs some variables. And here it's basically only the installer script. So with this simple script here, which is also kind of self-explaining, we can roll out the One Agent to all the web servers we are managing with Ansible. So this was basically the first part of deployment automation. So we've seen it's really easy to deploy the One Agent on hundreds or thousands of hosts. And for the second part, we are assuming you already have the One Agent on your hosts, and so this will be one of the basic building blocks, and then you will see how you can enable your applications to self-heal, or you can write how to write your own auto-remediation workflows for your applications. And I actually want to start with a kind of a workflow here. So it's a little bit animated, so I hope this goes through really well. But so what we can see here is a nice small workflow, how Dynatrace and Ansible, or the automation tool of your choice, can work together. So in the beginning, we have really Dynatrace monitoring our environment, full stack, end-to-end visibility, and automatically also detecting anomalies. So with our great AI, we have our automated baselining, and if some anomalies for example, in error rates or failure rates in response times occur, then Dynatrace will create a problem ticket for us, and also Dynatrace will analyze the root cause of this problem. So you don't not only get your problem, but you also know what the root cause of this problem is. And then Dynatrace can send out a problem notification to the tool of your choice. So in this example, we sent this problem notification to Ansible Tower. And Ansible Tower takes this event and triggers a job. And we will see it in the demo later on. This job is basically executing a playbook in Ansible. And once this playbook is executed, we will see how the problem is then remediated. So this playbook is especially there for remediating problems that Dynatrace has detected. And also we have a very easy integration of Ansible Tower in Dynatrace. So basically you just navigate to your settings screen and the problem notifications. You enter the job URL here, and then you can trigger jobs in Ansible Tower. The images here might be a little bit too small, but we will see it in the demo. So I hope now everyone can see this application called Sock Shop. It is originally developed from Weaveworks. It's the Weaveworks Sock Shop, and here we can see the Dynatrace version of it. So we played around a little bit and made our own version. It's kind of a fully functioning shop for buying socks. So I can just have a sock here, maybe not the damaged one, but maybe these are, I
think these socks need some self-healing too. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. So, but if I think some socks here are really beautiful, then I can just take them and add them to my shopping cart. So I have 3 and now 4 items in the shopping cart, and I can also check out those socks. So we will see a little bit more of this application, but I also just want to show you where this application runs. So this application runs in Kubernetes, and it's programmed by a couple of microservices. So we can see the cart service, for example, which is dealing with really adding socks to the shopping cart. We have the front end. So we have all the different microservices here, and they are running quite well on our Kubernetes cluster. What we can also see here in Dynatrace, so I'm not sure if you're familiar with the concept of management zones, but I just selected the production management zone where I only see all my services from the production environment, because I'm right now more interested or only interested in the production environment. Mm-hmm. We can also take a look at the Smartscape. This was what I was talking about earlier. And here we can see it consists of these 8 processes, and we have the services on top of it. So the cart service, for example, might be somewhere here. The items controller is from the cart service, and this talks also to the database and to other services. So we have a nice picture of our application, and now we want to actually release a new feature in our application, and this feature is kind of a marketing campaign. So we want to release or we want to start a campaign where a specific percentage of our users gets kind of a gift in their shopping cart whenever they add a sock to their shopping cart. As we know, Ansible or Ansible Tower is quite a cool tool for deployments and also configuration management. We do this configuration change right now from Ansible Tower. So I've prepared some templates here, and one is called Start Campaign. So we can start this promotional campaign, and also we can configure this campaign here. And I just defined it like, let's say 30% of their interactions, they now get this special gift in their shopping cart. And I click next here, and I launch the campaign. So we can see that this playbook was successfully executed. We can see it was first gathering some facts and then updated the percentage of promotion. Actually, we can also see this in Dynatrace. So if we go to the cards controller, we see there is a little bit of requests coming in. So it's all me and my little load balancer. And I can see there is one event. So we have made just one configuration change, and we can see it perfectly here that we have set the promotion rate to 30%. So the cool thing here is that with our deployment tool of our choice, which was Ansible Tower in this case, and our great monitoring, we can directly see here that we changed the configuration of one particular service. We have the timestamp here, and very special for this demo is we also have a remediation action here. And this remediation action is useful that it tells us, so if something goes wrong with this configuration change directly to the service here.
So just so I get this right, you have an Ansible playbook that you executed that, let's say, a marketing team can execute, for instance, when they decide to flip a switch, right? When you execute that script, not only does it change the configuration in the app, but we also make Dynatrace aware of it. So whoever looks at Dynatrace at the monitoring data is aware of that change, on particularly that service where you made the change. And because of the best practice, not only do you have the change, but also a link back to a potential remediation action in case things go wrong.
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome.
So we, for example, in Ansible Tower, we can have the roles that only the marketing team can, for example, start specific campaigns. And here we have this concept of the management zones, so they only see which services are really affected, or it might not be the marketing team, but some developers that are really responsible for the operations also. And so we just look at the production specifics here. And while we were talking, actually Dynatrace created a problem for us. So we can see here a new problem was created.
I think Dynatrace detected the problem. I don't think that Dynatrace, hopefully it is a great one.
Exactly. So maybe I go only to the last 30 minutes. So Dynatrace detected a problem in the items controller. This was the service we were looking at. And we just click here. And what we see, so for the demo, I've created a custom threshold because I just wanted to trigger this one specific scenario. So we can see that our threshold of the error rate, the failure rate, increased and actually was exceeded. And since there were some questions here and this auto remediation is quite fast, we already see some comments on this problem. So while we were talking, the remediation playbook already started and actually already finished again. So let me now recap what was happening while we were talking. So what we can first see in the, maybe I first show our great load generation script. So I just stopped it and maybe I have to scroll up a little bit. So we can see in the background, we received some errors. Actually, the developers, they were not ready to ship the promotional campaign. So they just added an exception here and they added nice words of some advice. The promotion campaign was actually not yet implemented, but still the marketing team was not aware of it and triggered the error. So we can see that we triggered some errors in the background. We didn't look at the load balancer, so at the load generator.
So that means for 30% of the requests that the load generator was executing to simulate real user, we probably got this Java lang exception, meaning there was actually a problem out there because we wanted to show the promotion, but it wasn't ready yet, and therefore threw an error. And that's also what made, makes sense?
Exactly, exactly. What we can also see here in our impacted service, we should be able to see the failure rate. It's already going down, but we can see it was going up to about 30%. We can see it here. We have exact 30% failure rate. So 30% of the calls, they generated an error. And Dynatrace detected this error. Dynatrace created the problem ticket. Basically, first it analyzed the error, and then it created the problem ticket. This problem ticket was sent then to Ansible, Ansible Tower. I just want to show you here how this integration works. So if you go to settings and you're integrating some third-party system, we can take a look here at our Ansible Tower, and it's really easy. Basically, you just put in here your Ansible Tower job template URL, your credentials, and that's it. And then every time Dynatrace detects a problem, it will send a notification to Ansible Tower. So, yeah.
So and just for clearness, because I see the question coming in here, this works great for Ansible Tower. We have a built-in integration. We have also integrations for other tools out there. And we also have a generic integration where we can send we can call a custom webhook, any webhook basically out there in case a problem comes up. So an example would be if you have your Lambda functions, your Google Cloud functions, right? You can write whatever you want that is exposed to the webhook. You can just call it webhook and then that webhook can also do that work.
Exactly. Actually, I started doing this integration and auto-remediation with Ansible when we didn't even have the problem notification integration with Ansible Tower. So I used the custom webhook integration and And then I think it was in 2018 where we released the Ansible Tower logo integration also. Mm-hmm. And it just makes things easier, but you can always go with the custom integration and define your payload manually.
That's perfect, cool.
So yeah, we've seen it's really easy integration. And also in Ansible Tower, we can take a look at what was happening. So we are selecting the jobs here, and actually we can see two remediations or two playbooks that were executed. So the first is the remediation playbook. And this playbook is more of a generic playbook. So it takes the problem notification and looks, basically does a very small analysis of the problem and looks if there is a remediation action attached to this problem. Mm-hmm. And if it finds a remediation action for this problem in either the configuration change events or deployment events, then it will trigger this remediation action. And this remediation action was also an Ansible Tower playbook, and this was called the stop campaign. Mm-hmm. So when we set up the starting of a campaign, we also define if something goes wrong with this campaign, just stop it. Mm-hmm. And this is also, I guess, this is also what a human would do. You first stop the campaign and then give the developers some more time to investigate the issue. But in our example, this was done fully automatically. And actually it was so fast that we didn't even see it happen.
And I assume stop campaign in this case is just making another REST call to change the feature flag from 30% to 0, right?
Yes, yeah. Exactly. Perfect. It's very easy. So you can reuse a lot of things when you're building this auto remediation that you might already have in place. You just have to think which parts can be automated and which parts need some human intervention. Yeah. And since we have a lot of automation here, it's crucial, it's very important to also have some feedback loops. So let me show you how in Dynatrace we also got notified. You have already seen that we have on the problem itself, we have the, on the problem itself, we have the comments, but also we will see a second configuration change event. So we can see just 3 minutes after we introduced the promotional campaign, we can see this was automatically set back to 0. So exactly, Andy, what you suggested, that we just set back the promotion rate back to 0. This was done via the Ansible Tower playbook. And we will see that it's going down. It just takes a little bit for Dynatrace to close the problem, since we also stopped the load generation in the background.
Yeah. So normally if load would continue, then this would be faster. So if I can recap this, Jürgen, quickly, if you can go back to the problem 510, right, the problem ticket, that means what you actually automated is what normally a human would do that follows, let's say, a runbook. So a human may sit there getting a notification on via Slack, via email, whatever it is. Then the human would then look into the problem ticket, seeing items controller has an issue, will probably click on it, right? If you could click on the items controller again. So it would navigate through the data and then would see, hey, the thing that actually happened just before the error rate went up was a configuration change event, and somebody actually provided the remediation action. And then the human may click on it. But basically what you did, you automated these steps in a separate generic runbook in Ansible Tower. So that's pretty cool.
Exactly. Yeah. So the exact steps you just said, they are in this more generic runbook, like going to the problem ticket, taking a look at all the events that happened. Is there some recent deployment? Is there some recent configuration change? Then taking a look at these deployments or configuration changes and looking for a remediation action. And if there's a remediation action, then go to this remediation action. And in this action, then it's defined how to really treat this kind of problem.
That's pretty cool. And that also means, and I think this is probably now clear for the people that are listening, in order for this to work, all of the data that we have here in Dynatrace that is related with the problem or with the entities like the services, the deployment events, this is all accessible through the REST API, because we're triggering your generic Ansible remediation script, and then this script can query more data about the actual problem and the components that are impacted.
Exactly.
Okay.
So all the automation in the background is done via the APIs, and so this is one reason why Ansible Tower and Dynatrace work so good together, because they both provide great APIs. Mm-hmm. But it should say we released a new feature in our application, or basically we did a configuration change, and then Dynatrace was monitoring our application all the time and detected some anomalies. So we have seen the increase of the failure rate in this particular example, and then Dynatrace was firing a problem and sending a notification to Ansible Tower. And here it starts and kicks off a playbook, checks for the latest deployments, and also for the configuration changes, looks for all the remediation scripts, and then executing the script, and the problem is finally remediated.